It is some kind of Thursday morning today. It's just, I'm just going to put that right there. You were in Atlanta. I was in Kentucky. We're talking about Kentucky and cars, volume over profit, one-upping EVs in China, and emotional advertising.
I'm not prepared for this, Paul. I don't think I'm prepared for emotional advertising.
I don't remember. Yeah. Oh, man. It's like 6:30 this morning. My flight got in at like 12:30 last night. I was in bed probably like 1:30 a.m. 6:30 this morning. I'm going through stuff and like building show and stuff. And I play this ad and I'm like, someone's going to walk down and see me crying at the kitchen table and think I just had a rough day.
It's just allergies. It's just allergies. Allergies. Waking up to allergies.
Oh,
I'm telling you what, look, for the poor people that don't get the like 30-second countdown intro, if you've never watched the pod live, you got to go check that out. Cause I don't know what it does for me. It like puts me in this thing. I'm like, okay.
The music and the countdown.
Go, right?
Absolutely.
Like I see it,
man. I guess all I can say is the auto industry is so alive and well.
So good.
And there's so many, I mean, there's so much change and there's all this talk about AI and pop culture and technology and what's going to happen and this and that. But I got to say, spending time with dealers and industry partners on the ground, like it's just business as usual.
Yeah. Look, it's business as like, not just usual. I think it's really good. This is crazy. Last night, I hadn't told you this. Last night, I'm in the Atlanta airport hanging out in the non-TSA pre-check line because for some reason, Atlanta shuts that down at 9 o'clock.
All the peasants. They do. That's right. And we always get there right after.
Let me tell you about customer service, TSA.
Okay. Atlanta's extra rough.
Okay. But the people were right in front of me. They were TSA pre-check with it. There was this little, like, everybody's kind of under their breath, like, oh, over here in the little thing where we got to take off our shoes.
Take my shoes. Yeah.
And so we have a little thing going, and this couple or two business partners basically were like, hey, so what do you do? What industry are you in? And said automotive. And they were like, oh man, it's been crazy the last few years, huh? And I was like, yeah. They're like, wild industry. I was like, yeah, let me tell you about it. And even them, they kind of sensed this, like they knew what's up in the auto industry. They were, I can't remember but they were totally not even close to auto, but there's enough knowledge out there in pop culture where they kind of knew, like, oh, the inventory shortages have made it really profitable. It seems like it's been a fun industry to be in. Like those are some of the comments. So, if like someone totally random at the airport is giving those type of comments, inside the industry, it's like full on go.
No doubt. Well, we're going to be with a bunch of people. We'll just get this out of the way. Tampa, 2 weeks from yesterday or 2 days ago. So less than 2 weeks, we are premiering our TV docuseries pilot show called More Than Cars. Last couple of years at Tampa, we've had the family reunion, which has been amazing and packed and full of energy. We're moving that to the Tampa Theater this year. So we're going to have full theater vibes. People are going to dress up. We're going to have the red carpet. We're going to have the movie screen. We're going to have the concessions open. So some swag. So we hope you can join us. You can go to, where was it? Pop it back on the screen. What is it? Or is it sodox.com?
Sodox.com and get tickets.
What do you do when you're there? Once you're on that site, click.
You just hit get tickets right there at the top.
Oh, it's at the top now.
Next screen has Tampa, and let's go.
Beautiful. So yesterday, I got to spend the day with at the Kane Family and Friends Digital Success Workshop, and it's a 3-day event. I was only able to go in for the 1 day, but let me tell you, this industry is so big that it's funny when I walk in a room and I'm like, oh, I recognize every industry partner. What's up? A lot of high fives, fist bumps, bang, bang. Yep. And then I don't recognize like hardly anyone else. I'm like, this is different. And they're all dealers. I'm like, I'm assuming everyone I do. And like, as I meet people, I'm like, there are just so many more amazing dealers out there that I've never even heard of. And it always blows my mind.
It's unbelievable. Back to the people last night. They were like, auto industry is tough because it gets a bad rap. And I was like, yeah, but let me tell you about some of the people that I know. And they're like, wow, that's, and they,
in the car dealers?
In a room of just full of them, right? Just incredible people. Come on.
Yeah, we're going to actually release a few episodes of our In the Dirt podcast featuring some of these dealers that won kind of like best idea award. And 2 of the 3 were like very culture focused and just got me all excited yesterday. And so one interesting thing that I want to bring up in the show. So Jamie Butters, the editor of Automotive News, gave a little keynote and we got to spend some time together, which was fantastic. We interviewed him as well. But he was like, hey, here are the things that from my view, like from Detroit, that I think are going to be a thing. that certain dealers should pay attention to. And he mentioned a few things like EVs and things like, more of the generic stuff. But then he was like, the UAW strike that could happen in the fall, he says, I think is a more serious situation than it's actually getting talked about. And he said, if you're a domestic, right? If you are a domestic franchise, he goes, as hard as this is to say or think about, you might want to think about stocking up your inventory, overstocking on inventory so that you have. And I was like,
what? That's unbelievable. So like these domestics who right now, honestly, domestics have the highest days in stock, supply, right? Yep. Mm-hmm. Days supply. Sorry, not days in stock, days supply. But they could be back at like ground zero potentially if the strike happens.
Right, not because of parts and not because of pandemic,
just because labor stuff doesn't get worked out.
Yeah, he said he basically kind of laid out how like the way the UAW's elections went, like it was just a complete mess. And now they got somebody in the seat just in time for this bargaining thing. There's a lot of pressure on them to actually strike, right? Because of all the way the dynamics, a lot of employees are up in arms over it. Like it's a whole thing. And he was just like, if the inventory's there, you might want to, he's like, not telling anybody what to do, but he's like, I see trouble. And he's got a pretty decent perspective from where
he's sitting right there, right in the seat.
He's in all the meetings and all the editorial meetings, and he lives in Detroit, and he's just dialed in. So bringing that to you today. Just a little piece of little insider information from David Kane, but want to thank David for inviting us and just letting us be there and so nice. Just being
like, I couldn't be there, but
the best host ever. He's just the best host ever.
He is full on host. It is. Host is the word for sure.
And just the whole event reflects usually the personality of the host. So very laid back, hospitable, kind. It was just like, I'd be very proud if the outside world had a peek inside that event. I'd be very proud of the industry I work in. Speaking of the industry we work in, okay,
segue.
That's a cheap segue, but we need.
Well, and we kind of missed the opportunity on the volume, on the inventory volume.
Yeah, you're
there, and then it left. And, so
I did miss that one. Yesterday, Tesla CEO Elon Musk announced the company's strategy to prioritize higher volume production, even at the expense of short-term profits. The decision follows their missed first quarter expectations for total gross margin, but Musk still believes Tesla's vehicle will generate significant profit through their commitment to autonomy in the long run. So he's like, we want to get the cars out there because when we figure out the autonomy piece, it's going to like be a scaling mechanism. So, okay. He reiterated they are still expected to deliver their target vehicle amount of 1.8 million vehicles this year, which is 500,000 more than last year when they did 1.3. So it's still a big step forward. He also announced that the much anticipated Cybertruck event is going to be late in Q3. They're calling it a handover event. They've had these before where like, the first owners are there and they're like flipping their keys and you're like, look at these cats just getting their Cybertruck. Don't try to not break the window like the first one. I think they're going to skip that part. And he also said, they're going to update specs and pricing and introduce a 4-motor Cybertruck.
So interesting.
As opposed to the 3-motor one that was already like.
I need someone. Maybe we'll do this. We should put this together, like the timeline of Cybertruck announcement.
That's a long movie, man. That is a long movie.
Beep, like you just timeline it into this thing, because it's just continually pushed out. Feels like they're getting closer. I think they need to because the legacy OEMs are really pushing the boundaries with trucks, especially with the F-150. The Cybertruck is kind of truck-ish, right? And so there's going to be a lot of energy around it for sure. But, we'll see how that kind of impacts their Q3, Q4 profitability and volume. This is the play. This is like OEM 101. Okay. Do we go higher margins, lower volume, higher volume, lower margins? And he's having to figure that out now, I think,
for the first time ever,
because competitive matrix is getting a lot stronger, both in the US and in Asia.
Speaking of competitive matrix in Asia,
get him.
Oh, we talked about this last year, the Shanghai Auto Show getting started, but now it's in full swing. Automakers are literally one-upping one another as they, showcase their wide variety of futuristic vehicle features. It's pretty crazy. Listen to this. In-car karaoke. That's such an awesome idea, by the way. Systems to like a crystal ball gear shifter selector thing. It's like, this stuff is next level. First of all, I don't know why they couldn't have done any of this when it was a combustion engine, but
Right.
they just didn't. This is like an excuse, and it's opened the minds of the
It's
creative
opening up.
technology.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, all these international brands are very focused on this, like creativity. A bunch of new brands I've never heard of. One is called Zeekr, Zeekr, a premium EV brand, owned by Geely. They showcase the X model SUV, which has massage seats. I mean, I know that exists in some cars already, like the Lincoln Navigator. You can get that. Unity, a popular video game engine company. So here's the combination of like consumer tech and automotive coming together, is partnering with Li Auto to transform dashboard displays into 3D game-like interfaces, giving a glimpse of the cockpit of the future. And one French auto parts supplier, oh man, I'm gonna get this name wrong. Well, Patrick Culler, it's Faurecia. We'll call it that. Faure. Faurecia. There.
Faurecia. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought I would do with it. noted that Chinese automakers have done away with buttons in favor of voice and movement activation. That frightens me. But he does say the electronics in China is now more of a consumer-driven electronics, means they're just looking for the wow effect. So a lot of familiar brands there, right? So new entrants like Li and Polestar, new vehicle, but VW, Nissan, Mini, Honda, Ford. Ford actually had a combustion Ford Ranger there. Like
they were like, watch us. You mean EV market is strong? We're going back to gas. Boom, boom.
Right. So they had a Ranger there. They're gonna now they did announce the Ranger is going to be manufactured and sold in China alongside the F-150 and the Bronco. So like you got to go check out some of the pictures in the link in the article. There's just so much going on. I don't know how much of it is hype. You know what I mean? Like, and it kind of feels like the NFT craze a little bit.
Well, there's been, and it looks like the NFT craze, but that's true. There's been plenty of people that have said we're going to see 125, 150 new OEMs attempt to hit the market with a lot of PE and VC money, and then we're going to see like a massive shrinking over the next 5 years to like 10 to 12 that make it. And so there's just going to be a lot of experimentation, a lot of kind of like things that are out of the box. I think about it like the fashion show, right? It's even more futuristic and more concept than what we typically get with auto shows, because there's just so much experimentation that happens when you have to start from the ground up, right? When you're completely replatforming a car, you get the opportunity to go everything from the ground up. Now has the opportunity to change. You're no longer designing around an engine and a transmission and wiring systems that are out. So you're not designing around that different stuff. Yeah. So you're designing around the creature comforts a lot more. You're designing around the body shape because the battery and the transmission is on the ground. And so you just get like this wide open space for designers. And coming right off the NFT craze, like you just said, everybody's kind of like playing in design world. I mean,
right. What's actually going to have value, what's not going to have value.
Exactly.
You got to put out there. Yeah. It does feel like, CES more than it does an auto show. It's a fun time. It really is like a fun time. This is going to be looked back in, history is going to look back at this era and be like, well, that's where everyone kind of like took some shackles off and started thinking in a different way about the driving experience, which is fun. But thinking about experience.
Stop. Segue.
Three in one. We did 3-in-1 show. This is cool because people ask us, Kyle, so much about marketing. They ask us so much about creative. And so we're talking about this story about what ads and what creative is working in the general consumer market. So following a 10-year decline, humor is back in advertising. As Kantar's Creative Effectiveness Awards highlights campaigns from KFC, Cadbury, and Starbucks as the most effective in 2022. And they're saying emotion, nostalgia, and storytelling are all key roles in engaging customers, while use of humor experienced a total resurgence this year. Things like the pandemic, the war in Ukraine, all the reasons that we have to feel like down. The advertisers, creatives coming to the rescue.
Let's go.
We want it. We have to tell you about a product, but we can still contribute to your life in some way. This campaign from Cadbury is voted the most effective campaign, and this is the one that had me tearing up. We're going to roll it for you right now. So if you're just listening to the podcast, the scene. Hold on 1 second. Gotta make sure the podcast audio only people understand what's going on. The scene is a gas station, and a man steps up to a glass window, where the teller's behind the window, and we'll tell you what happened at the end, but that's the scene. So it's walking in, it's nighttime, and the man is walking into the store with probably like a 22-year-old girl behind the glass. Go, Isaac, roll it.
Number 6. One of those, please.
Got there.
Love you, Dad.
Oh,
There's a glass and a half in everyone.
I got him. Teary-eyed. Look at him. He's wiping. I am too. So if you're just on the podcast, the guy walks up and the girl behind the glass looks like she's having a rough day. And he says, number 6, pump number 6. And he said, I'll have one of those too. And he points at like one of the Cadbury chocolate bars behind, and she picks it up. And while she's picking it up, he turns and walks away, and she knocks on the glass and says, wait, you forgot this. And he looks at her and he smiles, and then he turns and keeps walking to his car. And then she grabs the mic and she goes, I love you, Dad. Got him all the way. Who wants to buy a Cadbury chocolate bar for their daughter
I'm
today?
like, I'm gonna buy one for every teller. Just like maybe you're having daddy issues and you just need a Cadbury egg chocolate.
We haven't had a lot of sleep because Kyle and I are both teary-eyed on the podcast this morning.
Struggling.
He was up with a baby last night. My flight got in after whatever. But look, this is the point. The automotive industry is more heart than anything else. It will always be more heart and more about people than it is about cars. So remember that as you walk into your showrooms and to serve other dealers today, you can do it too.